Hey Money Guy family, it's your host Brian Preston with Mr. Bo Hansen, back with part 3.
That's right, you guys have financial questions, we have financial answers. This is the third part of our How Do I Become a Financial Advisor series. Part number 1, we went through how does the industry work, how is it broken down. Part 2 was how do I find my fit in the industry. In part 3, dare I say, might be the most important one because this is the question that most people ask.
How do you make some moolah? Show me some money.
How do I get a job? How do I get a job in the financial planning arena?
It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
First thing, guys, it is a great time to be alive and to want to become a financial advisor because...
I like a little Drake lyrics right there. Yeah.
Truthfully, I have no. If that is, it's just by coincidence. It's always better be lucky than good, Bo. But here's the thing: is that in all seriousness, you've got a growing economy, you have an aging population, and then you have a shortage of people that are in the talent pool.
Right.
So this creates a recipe for success for somebody who's looking to get into this career. And I will tell you, it's not always like that. And here's the thing, I can tell you firsthand experience, we are part of that unicorn side of the financial planning profession. We're fee only financial advisors. We're a growing firm with the Money Guy Show as well as Abound Wealth, but we're even having a lot of trouble of finding great people to help us grow and become and continue to be a successful firm. So if you have 2 years of experience, pass the CFP exam, shameless ask of you to consider reaching out to us because we'd love to grow the family even more so. But let's jump in and let's talk about some resources to help people get a job.
Okay.
The first thing, number 1, is we told you in part 2, you ought to go to a conference after you figure out that this really is what you want to do, this is your calling, this is your passion. We said go to a conference. But unfortunately, this conference is not going to be about how much tchotchkes you can get, free swag, or just sitting back and learning and gorging yourself on great personal finance. This is going to be a conference that you go to and try to make yourself as uncomfortable as possible. By what I mean by that, and I'm serious, I want you to go meet people. I want you to, because there's a good chance if you go to conferences, you're going to be rubbing elbows with the people that might be future employers, your peers. There's a lot of opportunity there, so you've got to go in there very purposeful on trying to meet people. But let me give you a cautionary word of don't be desperate. Because people, I get very turned off when people are asking me for stuff before they even barely introduce themselves to me. Most people who are successful, they want to be mentors, they want to be generous, they want to share, but if you come out and you just come off as very needy or handing out business cards, you know, who you are, it might give the wrong impression, so be very careful with that. But talk to them about the different type of conferences that we're even talking about, Bo.
Yeah, so you can go check out a NAPFA conference, an FPA conference, you can go to some of your local regional conferences. There are tons of opportunities out there for you to go connect. Remember, we said the first reason you ought to go to a conference is to get to learn about what you think about the industry, how to plug in. It may actually make sense to go to 2 conferences, one to learn, and then once you know where you want to go, where you want to plug in, you're actually going on a mission to a conference to go make connections.
And a lot of those places that have conferences Bo mentioned are great resources. I'm talking about NAPFA, FPA, there's XY planning, all these different membership organizations. Also usually, even like the CFP board or the AICPA, these are all membership organizations of these professions where they also post job boards.
That's right.
They will have job boards. They will have ways for you to connect with employers that are looking to grow. So make sure you're taking advantage of those resources.
So you can go to a conference, you can use resources that are in the industry, and then what about the third?
There's a third opportunity is where there's now service companies, the kind of recruiting companies, like New Planner Recruiting.
It's a great one.
Caleb Brown and Michael Kitsis. We actually have used their resources. They're a great opportunity for a connection between candidates that want to work in this field with employers that are paying for the services. I don't believe there's a cost for the candidates because the employers are hiring these firms to go out there and make that connection. So definitely go check that out. And Caleb even has a book that he has written to help people get into the financial planning profession as well as understand what the journey, as well as for employers to know what this all looks like.
But this isn't about just checking boxes. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to go to the conference, check the box. Okay, I'm going to send Caleb Brown an email, check the box. You have to do a little bit more.
And there's the most important thing that's going to help you get a job. And I try to, matter of fact, I spoke to a college class last week about just social media, getting jobs, working for a small business owner. And one of the things, and this is something I always give Bo a compliment on, is you have to be a peacock. They realize, even though I tell you it's a tight job market, meaning there's tons of opportunity, and there's a lot of employers looking to fill jobs with talent, it doesn't mean that they want anybody and everybody.
That's right.
We want to feel like we're getting somebody special.
That's
so
right.
you have to stand out from everybody else. Don't, like Bo said, don't just check the boxes where you're just going through your checklist, where you seem disinterested, where you're just sending a resume and you're saying, that's it.
That's
You've
right.
got to stand out a little bit. Now, let me give you some examples. I know I got my first job out of college. I knew I was not what I call a front row sitter, meaning I did not have the best grades from school. I had good grades. I don't want to diminish myself, but I knew I was not the person coming out with the 3.7,
Sure.
3.8, 4.0 from accounting at UGA. So knowing that I was interviewing with a bunch of other candidates that I sat in class with, I went and found out at my first interview, it came to my attention that my employer was working with the local, it was a CPA firm, was working with a local hardware store that I actually knew the owner with. So when it came time for interview number 2, I had already gone to that hardware store, talked to the client of the CPA firm, interviewed them, and then made sure I found very good points to bring that to every partner that I
That's
interviewed,
right.
that, hey, I interviewed your client to make sure you were a good fit for me. Bo Hansen came in, interviewed, did a great interview, but I was scared of Bo because Bo came off too much like me. I could tell he was a go-getter, and I didn't know at the time if I needed a go-getter or if I just needed somebody who was going to create financial plans.
Sure.
So I will go ahead and confess, I was not going to hire Bo. Bo called me back, I kid you not, just a few weeks after our interview and let me know that he had other opportunities, but our firm was the one that he wanted. And he wanted to know what he could let me know that would potentially change my mind or move the needle a little bit further for him to become an employee of the firm. I got to tell you, I'd already hired another person for the job, meaning it was one of my clients, their children was going to come on. Bo was so convincing, he was such a peacock. By the end of the phone call, I had gone ahead and hired Bo and had to make a very uncomfortable phone call to that client about their daughter.
When you behave in this way, what it does is it allows your employer to see you're willing to go that extra mile. You're willing to put in a little bit extra work. Brian went and interviewed someone he didn't have to interview so that he could immediately make a connection with the partners at the accounting firm that he was interviewing with. I went ahead and let Brian know how excited I was and how opportunistic I was looking at the opportunity that his firm made available to me. You have to do something to let the person you're talking to know why you're different than the 4 other people they've talked to that day.
Yeah, because think about it. In the profession, your clients and the people you're hoping to work with down the road, they want to know you care about them.
That's
They want to
right.
know you're going beyond basic. So it's the same thing with employers and employee relationships. And by the way, this is not just us.
That's right.
We've helped some of your friends get jobs, all by trying to figure out what's the angle that you have that all the other candidates are not going to have, and what can you do to stand out.
And that's not just in the interview process. If you go to a conference, you have to figure out a way to be a peacock at the conference because you're not going to be the only person there looking for a job. So you have to figure out some way to set yourself up either at the conference or even in terms of how you follow up. If you go with a service like New Planner Recruiting, you have to figure out how to make your candidacy stand out from all the other candidates they might be taking on. And if you use a resource like the CFP board or like NAPFA or like an AICPA, you have to figure out some way to make your bio, your resume, your story stand out from all those around you.
So being a peacock is good. And guys, I got to tell you, this journey is awesome. I think there's a lot of opportunity in this career field, and I think you're on to just an incredible thing that potentially, I can't wait to hear from a few of you 10 years from now, 20 years from now, where you're like, this show, you guys giving this 3-part series of how do I get into becoming a financial professional changed my life. So keep it coming. Please let us know. Remember, hashtag Ask the Money Guy. I'm your host, Mr. Brian Preston with Mr. Bo Hansen. I got so excited.
I know. Forgot your name a little bit.
Keep the questions coming, and we'll talk to you soon.